Beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning across Central Florida. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk on a day where we are tracking a nasty line of thunderstorms getting their act together. This line of thunderstorms will eventually produce a severe threat across much of the the deep south, for lack of a better term. It's going to be a rough go for a lot of our friends here over the course of the next couple of hours. So we're going to be dialing into this. We're going to be tracking this storm system as it moves our direction. And of course, making sure you know every little bit of this coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's chat a little bit about our morning and just kind of see where we're at across Central Florida. It is beautiful outside. Tower Cam network across town. Let me just pop up the quad box because we have the technology, we have the know-how. Why not? It's gorgeous. Tavares, top left corner, 65 degrees. Look at that new Smyrna Beach. Come on. 67 for you. It's 66 in Orlando and Port Canaveral, enjoying 68 degrees. Our first warning live Doppler radar, we have it in the low power mode because we don't need anything more. It's picking up on some bugs, on some birds, things that aren't bothering us. It's going to be a gorgeous morning. And I can assure you it's going to be a gorgeous afternoon. Mr. Roberto, how are you, sir?
Mr. Burris, sir, how are you today?
I am good, buddy.
You need anything today?
No, just your friendship.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Love.
So kind, sir.
Did you were you on? Did you just like comment and I missed it?
You always ignore my comments.
He's standing right next to me. He comments in the I see it. Good morning, Mr. Burris, sir. Do you need anything today? You're such a putz. Love you. All right. So let's talk about our Saturday forecast, my friends. Temperatures may be comfortable. They're not cool this morning. That much I can promise you. They will be getting hotter as the day progresses. Hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. 77, 11 o'clock, 83 by 1 p.m., and 88 degrees our high temperature today. So yeah, it's going to be a hot day. Here's a look around. Kind of proof positive there, right? We're looking gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous. 87 in St. Cloud, 81 in New Smyrna Beach, sitting at about 82 degrees in Palm Coast, and, about the same idea back over to Wildwood. Although Wildwood's going to be hanging out at about 89 degrees. So there you go. Nice, toasty, warm. If you're making plans today, it's looking gorgeous at the beach. Do want to make sure to chat about that, right? Because, of course, people are heading that direction. Lower 80s on the beach sand. Surf running 2 to 4, 3 to 5 tomorrow. Surf temperatures are in the 60s, so it's definitely a chilly day. But let's chat about the severe weather outbreak that's just starting to take shape, okay? Let's bring up the radar imagery, and this is basically the live radar across Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. We have a tornado warning that's just been issued within the last couple of minutes just south of Memphis. And this is a pretty potent little storm here, not far from Tupelo on the north side out near Holly Springs, if you're familiar with that area. Haven't gotten any kind of ground confirmation. Did have some actual tornadoes touch down yesterday afternoon, last night. But today is one of those days where you know it's going to be a rough one. A very rare level 5 risk for strong to severe storms. And the forecasting was so confident on this. And this, I think, is a really interesting tidbit. Went in and looked at the data. This was issued on day 2, meaning it was issued yesterday for today. The last time the Storm Prediction Center issued a level 5 of 5 or high risk for severe weather for day 2 was almost 20 years ago. They issued the last high risk on day 2 in April of 2006. I was but a little pup. You probably were too. So this is a rough one. And if we break down the threats for this, threat by threat, you'll clearly see the biggest concern here is going to be tornadoes. There is a hatched significant concern, of course, for damaging winds, and there is a hatched significant concern for large hail, but the tornado threat is the commanding threat from this severe weather outbreak. So if you have friends that live in that area, and I'll bring it back up, and as a matter of fact, I'll zoom into kind of the area we think is going to be the worst impact. Essentially, Laurel, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, right? Jackson, Mississippi, through Tuscaloosa, just south perhaps of Huntsville. That's the like zero spot. But essentially from New Orleans over to the panhandle of Florida, all the way up through Memphis and Nashville. You're talking about numerous to a widespread severe weather event. This is a significant severe weather event today. And what's particularly interesting about it is that it kind of has two pieces to it. We're getting the energy now. This is our Futurecast model. Okay, I'm going to bring it full screen. The energy is there now through 10, 11 o'clock. This is Eastern time, of course. But watch how into the afternoon, there's this resurgence of stuff into Mississippi and Alabama right in there. You see that? 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. That's when the real energy is going to be dialed in. That's when they really need to be watching. Okay. Then, as that progresses, watch through tomorrow, 7 a.m. into North Florida, 10:30, 11 o'clock into the Panhandle and the Big Bend, and then by about 1:30, 2 o'clock, starting to move into our area. And that, my friends, is when we need to watch things particularly careful. So how does this play out in our neighborhood using Futurecast, right? Good, I thought you'd never ask. Let's dial into the model data together, okay? Let's start things off at 4 o'clock. Now, let me do this. This is a situation where there's enough moisture. I'm going to just tweak the color table a little bit so as to not show as much of the lighter shades of green because we don't need it in this case, okay? So here we are, 2 o'clock, starting to see some of those rains moving into our northern areas, right? 3, 4 o'clock, starting to get more atmospheric energy. And notice by 5, 6 o'clock, okay, now the atmosphere is really starting to charge up. That's when we're getting those reddish, deepish reddish, and even pink shades. That's going to be the timeline when things start to really get feisty, okay? 7 o'clock, getting closer to the metro right there. You can see it, 7:30 or so, the feistier stuff getting into the metro. 8, 9 o'clock, working east, and then clearing our area. Now, Futurecast is clearing our area by midnight, and I would add that our Futurecast is definitely faster than a lot of the other models are. To that point in time, I would say that we need to look for consistency to breed confidence. It's not quite there yet. Okay, we'll get there, but based on the latest data, this is the timeline that we have for the severe weather, right? The timeline that we've got for you is going to be essentially afternoon, by 2 o'clock, we should start watching our northern areas, right? That goes without saying. Okay. But by about 4 or 5 o'clock, that's when it's probably going to be getting going. Okay. Then we get into the metro just thereafter. Dinner time, bedtime, that kind of time frame, and then into our southern areas after that. But again, think of these as kind of like loose start times. It's just too early before we can really get into the specificity of things. All right, let's look at some model soundings. All right. This is the 11Z. Let's go to the 6Z if I can. Of course, you're not wanting to play ball, are you? There it is. All right. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just configuring Pivotal Weather. This is a resource that we use. This is a resource that we use when it comes to like tracking severe weather. What you're looking at, think of that as like a weather balloon sounding. Okay, so the bottom line is the surface. The green is the dew point. The red is the temperature. On the right side, those are the wind barbs, speeds and direction. So right off the bat, this is 11Z. It's currently 12Z. So this is going to be 7 o'clock tomorrow morning in Orlando. You can definitely tell that there's some turning of the wind with height. Nothing significant, of course, yet. All right. But going through the day, let's just look. I mean, this is an atmosphere here where we could, if there were any storms to develop tomorrow morning, which there won't be, but tomorrow morning looks like it would be a pretty decent environment for severe weather. It's just a matter of when does the rain arrive, which is going to be later. Okay. So Zulu time is 4 hours off. So 15, 14, 13, 12. So that's going to be 11 a.m. Still looking at some decent turning of the winds. The winds in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and here I can zoom in on that just to illustrate the point here. Okay, let me zoom this in. All right, so over here, those white lines, those are winds with height. There's less wind atmospherically, it looks like, than what we had on Monday when we had that EF2 tornado touchdown in Seminole County. Less wind above our head would mean theoretically like we would have less lifting energy available. Okay. Not saying that it's not possible, but just, atmospherically, it does look like there's a little bit of less of a setup. But there's a little more turn, there's a little more energy. Okay. So this is what, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. So that's going to be lunchtime, 82 in Orlando. Good gusty winds. The winds are starting to turn more southwest at the surface with more of a westerly direction at about 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers. It's getting hot. Marginal severe, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. So that's 2 p.m., still before the storms arrive. A good amount of atmospheric energy to the north moving in. Look at that, 87, dew point of 64. The atmosphere would be pretty dry if that plays out the way that it is out ahead of these storms, right? 62. Fairly unilateral winds, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. So that's 4 p.m. There's a pretty decent amount of dry air at the surface, but the winds are not really turning. Okay, we're not looking at a significant shearing of wind with height, a significant turn of wind with height. So that's at least supportive of more straight line winds than it is tornadoes. I'm just kind of clicking through 22Z, 83. Yeah, I mean the winds kind of go more unilateral, so that's good. That would keep our tornado threat a bit lower. And then right in here, okay, see this is the way it plays out, right? Um, So that's 9 p.m. So 9 p.m., which is like right this. So this is what gets interesting. Right when the storm system moves in, you've got a soupy air mass, right? But you do have just a little bit of a wind streak overhead, like quarter kilometer. So you're talking 25, 3,500 feet up, right in there. If you look, there's a little bit of a wind streak. You see that right there? At 1,000 millibars. A little bit of a wind streak, a little bit of a turn in the winds. So it's indicating that there's just going to be a little bit of shear and not a big window of time, but a little window of time. And based on that, there's your window right there for a tornado. That's the HER model. We'll have to watch and see if that plays out, but that's your window right there. If the storms move in at about that time frame, and notice it kind of backs off, so it's indicating just a little bit of a kick of shear, just a little bit of a kick. And then after that we go saturated, the rains are coming down and that whole thing. So the atmosphere is one of those really interesting buggers, right? It really is an interesting thing. All right, SIPS guidance. So let's look now. If you're unfamiliar with SIPS, and I know I'm just kind of talking and I'm not answering questions, and I apologize. I'm just trying to get through all the rigmarole. SIPS guidance. This is a way to look at. Basically, what SIPS does is it takes a look at analogs. It looks at the atmosphere, tries to make an analog off things. And frankly, the SIPS guidance would put us under almost like a numerous. So, based on SIPS, the atmosphere as it is tomorrow should overproduce, according to at least analog guidance. Okay? So, this is one of those main things that we need to be watching for sure. Steve Kane says, what kind of a chart is that? I've never seen one like that. Holy axis. Yeah, it's called a skew T. That was called a skew T log P diagram. So, um, for the weather nerd in you. But yeah, so SIPs showing analog comparisons saying that atmospheric conditions like this tend to overproduce. So that's one of the reasons why it wouldn't surprise me, based on all of the data that we have, that we don't see this severe threat kind of bumped up for right now. And of course, we'll get an update from the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center. But for right now, level 1 out of 5 risk for isolated strong to severe storms with the biggest threat north of us. And the main concerns being damaging winds, hail, but the threat of tornadoes can't be ruled out. But again, with SIP's guidance the way that it is, and another thing too is if you look at our Futurecast, let me just roll through late. If you look at when these storms come in, right, the rotation in there's enough energy. There's definitely enough energy that we could be getting enough of a spin. So keep that in mind. These are the reasons why we're calling it impact weather. So in making your plans for the weekend today, you're good. Tomorrow, for the most part, you're good. But after 2 o'clock, particularly in our northern areas, things could get a little bit feistier. And then, of course, 2 p.m. on, things could start to get going. Ari says the Cape value doesn't look too bad. You know the thing with this, and this is the part that's really interesting. It's going to be about timing. If the convection there's a narrow window where the atmosphere will support some nasty stuff. If the convection finds itself in that window, boom goes the dynamite. If not, it's just rain. And frankly, I'm super okay with just rain. Super okay with it. But it's definitely something to watch. I have a patio brunch shift tomorrow. Should be fun. I mean, my son's we're doing a pool party tomorrow for my son. I think we're gonna be fine. I live in the metro, right? And so if you look at, let me dial up our Futurecast again. Stand by. Let me open this up. I live in the metro, and let's use Futurecast. And frankly, the trend has been earlier and earlier, which is what Futurecast is supporting. So let's look at Futurecast together again, okay? And if you're just joining us and you're curious about the weather, here's 1 o'clock, storms north of our area. My pool party starts at 1 o'clock in the metro. It'll be cloudy, it'll be hot, it'll be windy, it'll be fine, okay? I'm making pasta. It's going to be great. 3 o'clock, starting to see the rains moving in. The atmosphere, notice how like the rains move into Marion and it doesn't look feisty, and then boom, it starts to lift, right? By 6 o'clock. That's that window where the atmosphere starts kicking in some shear and some energy. That's where we could see it. Futurecast is still showing that, right? You see those deep reds and the purples. Futurecast is saying the atmosphere should be able to yield this. There's 6:30, 7 o'clock, right? There's 7:30, 8 o'clock into the metro. 9 o'clock east of town. 10, 11 o'clock. So yeah, so right there. You see that? Yeah. 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then kind of clearing on out afterward. Right? So that's kind of where we're at in terms of timeline. Okay? All right. Now, questions, comments, concerns. Now that we've kind of gotten through it. Questions, comments, concerns? Anything? Now is the time. Now's the time to ask. Now I will stop and read. Donya, thank you. Thank you. It's been a while. I haven't heard from you. Beware. Yeah, no, you're right. I used that a couple of days ago. Lawrence says, beware of the Ides of March. How very Shakespearean of you. He's not, tomorrow's not his birthday. Tomorrow's just the day we're celebrating. He turns 7 on the 25th. I will have a 7-year-old. Jeez. Terry says, year ago, we had a tornado that started in Denellen, skipped down 484, came back down briefly, Route 200 in Ocala, skipped over, came back. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Taylor, I know. Dunellen, right? Or Bellevue. Will it be as bad as what they had overnight. I don't know what you mean, Sonia. Help me understand. Jenny says 7, shut up. No way. I know. He tells me to shut up all the time too, which we got to work on that. You know? Ugh. Kelly says having a 7-year-old doesn't make you any less millennial, though. So don't worry, you're fine. Producer Kelly, always reminding me. This is how we remind you. To say sorry. Anyway, different story. Roxanne, why is weather more severe most of the time in our northern counties? Well, because the energy is. Sorry, when we're singing. Because most of the energy is north. Like, to give you an idea, this storm system, let's see here. Uh, bu- 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 This storm system, where is it actually anchored? It's in Minneapolis, right? It's in Minnesota. So if the energy is in Minnesota, the further away from it you get, the less energy it actually has. And it's wild this time of year. It's like the battle of the seasons, right? On the north, you've got winter, like, no, bro, we got snow, we got ice up in Minnesota. In the south, we're like, nah, we got tornadoes. We got big old hail. That's the same storm system. And that's what's happening right now. Right? So it's the battle of the seasons, kind of playing it out, fighting it out over top of us. We got 3 minutes left, friends, until my cut in. So that's why. 5 out of 5 risk. Terry says that's so scary. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. Donya says, we love you, but don't quit your day job. Yeah. I can sing. I, I can hold the note. I don't do it here. It's more fun to not. When I'm in a group, I'm not a solo act. I was a symphonian. If anybody knows the term, I was a symphonian. Although I still am by technical terms. If although there's some question if I paid the last semester. So it's all about money, right? Anyway. Oh yeah. So there you go. Will flights be okay into Orlando Sunday night? They're going to start to delay. I can tell you right now, they will start to delay. Stacy is asking, did Florida always have tornadoes every winter? I don't remember them years ago. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Ecolitis is asking, how's the sounding for Flagler? They all look pretty similar. There's a narrow window of severe weather. I had checked Marion County, I checked Flagler County. All the soundings look similar. It's just a matter of at what time does it get going, right? I'll be posting some reels through the day today. I'm going to be a little more active this weekend for obvious reasons. And just know this, that even though as of a few hours from now, I'm on vacation and Chief Meteorologist Tony Manolfi's on vacation, all of that gets thrown out the window anytime that there's the threat of strong to severe storms. So Tony Manolfi's planning on live team coverage with meteorologist Marquise Mita tomorrow afternoon. And if need be, though this timing doesn't look like it, if need be, I will be in with Kellyanne Class on Monday morning. We will always be here for you, okay? I always say this. It's one thing to earn your trust. It's a completely different thing to keep it. And I'm going to work hard. And Tony's going to work, the whole weather team's going to work hard to do that. Okay? Carbon Fiber, last question, is asking, do you think the scattered risk will be pushed south today? I do. Just based on that analog alone, it's an interesting tidbit. So I do. With the amount of heat that's going to be in play, yeah. So anyway, I'll be posting reels, keeping you updated with little tidbits as I got a lot of stuff to do before this little pool party tomorrow. For me, I could put on a party and not worry too much about it. Like, I'm a dude, and if anybody thinks it perfection from me, then you're wrong. My wife, on the other hand, wants it to be good. And she's not wrong, which means I need to do some hosing off of furniture, get that pollen under control, the whole nine. So, pick weeds out of the pavers. Anybody with pavers know what that? I give Voltasmere. Anyway, I'll see y'all later on TV in a couple of minutes. Be the sunshine in someone else.